Hello everyone, welcome to this crowdcast. Oh, I didn't know the echo would be so huge. Hopefully you can hear me. My name is Vova, I'm head of community at Smartcat, and today we will be talking about getting orders on Smartcat. First of all, I want to apologize to those of you who were attending yesterday's webinar because my internet broke down. So today I found some more secure space where hopefully the internet will not disappear. And I will go through the whole part of the presentation that I managed to go through the last time. So if you have already watched it, you can take some 5-10 minutes off. This is mostly for those who will be watching this in replay. I will tell the same words. So today I will show a short presentation, maybe 30 minutes or something. Then I will also show you the actual system and also answer your questions. So far, do you hear me well? Is everything fine with connection and so on? Great. So feel free to ask your questions on the left. I will be checking them every now and then. I cannot promise that I will be able to follow the chat, although I have my cell phone here, so I can present and watch at the same time. Anyway, let's begin. I will focus on the presentation. And we will go ahead. 1 second. I want to do it like this, right. So, first of all, before we proceed to talking about getting orders, I want to tell a few words about what Smartcat is, for those of you who do not know. So Smartcat is 3 things, basically, when it comes to freelancers and translators. First of all, it is a free computer-aided translation tool. You might know such software as Trados, MemoQ, WordFast, MemSource, and so on. So Smartcat, a part of it, also provides the same functionality with the difference that it is completely free to use and it is in the cloud, unlike most of them. Second, and what we will be talking most about today, is that Smartcat is a marketplace where customers find translators, mostly, not the other way around. And it is transparent in that you are present in the marketplace under your own names, and the customer sees who exactly they are working with. And finally, Smartcat is a collaborative environment, which means that once you are invited to a customer project, you do not just get an email with the documents you have to translate. Instead, you translate them right on the platform in the same CAT tool that I mentioned before. We will see it today live, hopefully. Before we proceed, what Smartcat is not is also worth mentioning, because sometimes I get emails from you guys that show that you do not completely understand what Smartcat is. So Smartcat is not an agency. There is, for instance, no point sending me or anyone in Smartcat your CVs. It is worth uploading them to your profile, which we will talk about, but it doesn't matter if you send it to us. We do not distribute work among freelancers by ourselves. And mostly we do not order work ourselves. Instead, we have a lot of customers who come to the platform. These are, I think, 60% agencies, 40% direct customers, maybe 70-30, around these figures. Second, it is not a job aggregator like ProZ or Upwork. We do have a job aggregator functionality, and we will talk about it today, but it is not the main thing that Smartcat is. And last of all, finally, Smartcat is not an instant translation platform like Gengo or 1-hour translation, where a customer just comes, uploads their document, pays some money, and has it translated by someone. It does not work this way here. How it works, we will discuss right now. So our second point is how Smartcat marketplace works. I think to ask the questions, I can follow them quite well. So far, I think you can, if some questions relate to what I'm talking about right now, you can ask them in the chat. I will be able to see them right away and clarify. If it is a more general question, then you can ask them in the Q&A section, and I will come to them at some point later. So how Smartcat marketplace works? It works as follows. First of all, a customer creates a project. So everything starts with a document. A customer has a manual, marketing copy, a set of dynamic content generated to translate. So they create a project within their workspace in which they choose the source language and any number of target languages. It does not need to be just one language. There are also other features that they can use, but these don't matter for us right now. Second, the customer finds freelancers that they want to assign the work to. So it's the most interesting point for us today that they do not, that we have a lot of freelancers in our marketplace, more than 100,000. Of course, all of them are in different pairs, but when the customer searches for freelancers, they see a list of profiles, not complete profiles, but snippets of profiles. And this list is sorted somehow. So the higher you are in this list, the more chances you get to be noticed, not hired, because it also depends on what you write in your profile, which we will talk about later. But the first thing that matters is that you are high in the list. And today we will discuss how you get higher in this list. Then when the customer has found a freelancer, they have them execute the job and they monitor its execution. So this, on the screenshot number 3, you see what the CAT tool looks like. Here it's a multilingual editor. It's not something you will see as a freelancer, but the customer will be able to see if they translate to several languages. They will be able to follow what exactly you translate, where you translate, how fast you translate, and so on. So it makes it much easier for them because they can be sure that a translator is not lost one day before the deadline with no work performed. So all the work is done in the cloud and it stays right there. For you, it is easier because you do not have to accept documents. You do not have to translate them manually sentence by sentence within Word or Excel or whatever. You just go within that table that you see, one segment after other, you translate it and confirm it, and until you are done. Next, the customer, when the job is completed, the customer marks it as completed and you get paid. Each customer has their own payment terms, which they can set in their profile. It can be 7 days, 14 days. Actually, it can be anything. It can be twice per month, once per month or something. When you are invited to a job, you see exactly what the customer's payment terms are. Once the customer pays, they pay to Smartcat. They do not pay to you directly because if they have, for instance, 20 freelancers working together on the same project, we read them of the task to pay to each freelancer manually. Instead, they pay to Smartcat once, we pay to you. In the process, we take 10% commission for our service, for providing the platform, and so on. So, and this, by the way, because I envisage questions about why Smartcat is free, is because we monetize on a different basis. We monetize by charging commission on orders that go through Smartcat. Let me find that window again. So thus, to make sure you're invited, you have to do two things. You have ensure that your profile has a high search ranking, that is high in search results, and you must make it compelling for clients. The first task is more or less technical, so you have to do some things that can be determined. The last case is not so determined, so you have to be creative to make your profile compelling, just as you would be on any other platform. But I will provide some tips nevertheless later on. So let me see if we have any questions. Okay, one question is related. Zed asks, let me click that I'm answering this question. Zed asks, I often find myself losing a job to a fellow translator that accepted a job proposal right away. Recently, a job offer was appointed just 3 minutes after I received the notification via email. That's not enough time to even read a proper paragraph of source text. How can I judge if I'm up to the task? Well, we do not instruct our customers how to behave. They have different options. The most useful option for them that I as a customer always use is the so-called bicycle mode. Let me show it in the screenshot. It will be in the previous screenshot. So if you take a look at screenshot number 2, sorry, it's a bit smaller, but you can see that there is a bicycle there. This bicycle icon means that the customer selects several freelancers, let's say 10, 20. We also do not limit this. They receive invitations, and then the customer receives also in their workspace, they see who of freelancers accepted the job. Then they are able to see their profiles, decide who fit the best. They can chat with you via chat and then assign the task. But if a customer doesn't want to bother, let's say they have not a huge document and they know that the deadline is not too tight, so they can assign it to any translator of those that they invited. And in this case, they set the so-called turbo mode, in which the first freelancer that accepted the task is assigned to it. Unlike most other platforms, the invitation is not sent to everyone. So it's not like you have 200 translators in the marketplace for your language pair, and as a job is assigned, of course, someone will reply in 1 minute. But such things do happen. It is a natural process that goes this way. Just do not be upset about it. What you can do, you can write in the chat to the customer that next time they consider your application as well. I would say just move on, because it's not something you can affect. It just goes this way. These emails, they come and go. So unlike most other platforms, you get a notification when a job is canceled. Because as a translator who is working on other platforms, I know that sometimes you get a job notification and you click it, but when you translate on Gango, it's impossible. I haven't, even on a single occasion, I haven't succeeded in catching this invitation. So as soon as you click the link, even it's several seconds after it was sent, it's already gone. That's the way a market works. In our case, we're limited by 2 things. First of all, the number of invitations sent is limited. And second, you get a notification once the job is taken. So if you see this notification, you can just delete the original email and move on. Hope this at least answered it. Aiden asks, can I watch this webinar? Yes, it will be available at the same link. By the way, you can watch this webinar on Crowdcast. If you are on our community website, aka forum, you can see the link to Crowdcast. You can also watch it on YouTube on our channel, and you can also watch it on our Facebook page. So quite a bit of options here. Let me see if there are any comments on Facebook or YouTube. None so far, as it seems. The other questions I will answer when we go to this part of the presentation. So the next part we want to discuss is what your search ranking depends on. And it's basically 5 factors. Number of words you translated on the platform, number of customer projects you have completed, tests you might have passed, customer feedback also on the platform, and your senior translator status. And because I've been asked before, your search ranking does not depend on your rate. So whether it's 10 cents per word or 3 cents per word, you will be at the same location in search results, because we want to give our customers something to choose from. So this is how the search results look. You can see on the screenshot, and you can see in which places the customers see these or that parts of your profile. So the first point was number of words translated. What is worth mentioning here that it is not the number of words you have translated on customer orders. It is the whole number of words, including the project you translate for yourself. I think that some of you might not know that you can translate your own project. So please know that you can. You do this just by going to your workspace and clicking create new project. So you have a document you received from your customer, you want to translate it, you upload it to Smartcat, you translate it segment by segment as you would do in any other CAT tool, and you download the result in the target language. The words that were in this document will be added to your counter and will be taken into account when determining your search position. Usually, it is enough to have several tens of thousands of words translated to be in the top percentile. Maybe not one percentile, but let's say so. It's a good indicator if you have like 50,000 words translated, 100,000 words translated. For a fully booked translator, this may take, I don't know, half a month or months to do. And of course, you can also do it just for yourself, for fun, if you practice translating on your own. This is free. I already told why this is free, because first of all, we can do it free because we monetize on a different basis. And second, we want you to know the tool. So once a customer project comes, we want you to be able to complete it without any hassle. And finally, this is an indicator of your activity as a translator. If a customer sees that the translator has translated 100,000 words, they know that they at least do translate something, which is not an absolute indicator, but an indirect one, and it works like this. A disclaimer, we never look into your docs. We do not have any process for creating any TMs or otherwise processing your translations, and we do not look into what customers your work comes from. I sometimes receive such kind of requests asking whether we do this. No, we don't. It would be a terrible thing for our reputation to do, because the risks of losing everything is much higher than what we, even if we would want to do it, and we don't, than what we would get in the result. So the call to action here to increase your search ranking is to go create a project and translate it. I'm looking at the questions and answers right now. Okay, I think I will touch on them later on. Second is number of customer projects. So here it is the number of projects, of not any projects that you create by yourself, but number of projects you were invited to and that you have completed for customers. For instance, in the screenshot you can see my own profile. And the fun thing here is that all this work, although it's indicated as work from a customer, it is actually a work from my own customer that I introduced to Smartcat, and that I, for already like 2 or 3 months, work with exclusively using Smartcat. It makes it easier for them because they have a very simple process of ordering a new translation, and they can do it in other pairs as well, and I help them do this. And this is best for me because, first of all, it makes it simpler for them. It means that they come to me with a higher probability than they come to some other vendor or some other platform. As an indication, they used to use another platform before, and now they exclusively use Smartcat and my own services. You can imagine that it's quite a bit of work, and all I did was introduce them to Smartcat. So you will be getting, of course, orders from system customers as well. But if you bring your own clients, you can see in this presentation that I will share later on in the forum that there is a link here. This link actually leads to our referral program, where you will be able to earn money by inviting your customers to Smartcat. But this is not a topic of this webinar, so we will discuss this on some later occasion. The third thing that your search ranking depends on is tests. So it is important to understand that these tests do not come from Smartcat. We do not have neither the capacity nor the willingness to do this. So we do not send out tests to check who of our translators can do them. Instead, customers sometimes come to us and say that it can be an agency, for instance, and they have a new prospective customer in a field that is new to them, and they go to this page that you see in the screenshot, and they indicate some things like, I need around 10 translators at this rate for this pair, for this document. And then this document, we cut it so it is not more than 250 words, and we send it out to a certain number of freelancers who match the requirements of the client. In the end, you can receive something like this in your email boxes. It includes the pair, the subject, the rate, the word count, not of this test, but of the whole project, and the client name. We send this test out not to the whole marketplace, but to around 50 matching freelancers. I will explain later why. The texts are around 1 page long, I already told that. The tests are not paid. Do not be confused by the rate indicated. It indicates the rate in case you pass the test and are invited to a real project. So tests on the platform are not paid. You can love it or hate it. I know there are different attitudes to tests, but it happens like this. Okay, Paz, I will touch on this. Test letters indicate the maximum rate. It is important to know that if you, for instance, pass this test that is written in this screenshot, it says 7 cents per word. But at the same time, your profile can be 3 or 4 cents per word. So when you are invited to a real project, then you will be invited at your own rate. If you want to be invited at a different rate, you either should change it in advance or when receiving an invitation to a real project. You will see the rate indicated in it. If it is different from what you did the test for, you go to the chat, you agree with the customer on a different rate. If they agree, you can either have them reissue the invitation, or you can write to our support team attaching a screenshot of your chat conversation and saying that you agreed with the customer on a different rate. It works in a bit of a manual mode right now, but it is solvable. And finally, to what Paz has written, you are not guaranteed that your test will be checked, unfortunately. I hate this situation myself. Currently, Paz writes, on the topic of tests, I did a test and never heard back from the client, neither to say that I passed or that I didn't. Andre says, had the same situations several times. We have around 60% of tests checked. Unfortunately, due to the high number of customers, we are not able to instruct them, every of them, to done them, to complete their part of the agreement, let's say so. Of course, we write emails to them if they do not check your tests, but in the end, we do not have levers to affect their decision in a more hard way. For this, it's exactly for this reason why we are only sending tests to a limited number of freelancers. Because if we send the test to the whole marketplace, and there would be like 200 tests passed, no customer will ever check 200 tests, as you can understand. Currently, if we send it to 50 freelancers, of which usually around 25 complete the test, it is more or less doable for the customer. We are trying to improve ourselves here. That's where we are now, and I'm telling this to you honestly. Unlike other platforms where when an agency or customer invites you to a project with a test, you never know if it will be actually checked. So here we have at least some mechanisms that improve the situation and increase the probability that your test will be actually checked. And I forgot to say the most important thing. So these tests, they are not only for this customer. I mean, if you pass the test and the customer ticks the box that you have passed it, then they will probably invite you to their project, if it turns out, because anything can happen. But in this case, you will also have this badge in your profile, which will say that you have passed a test in a certain subject area, which is a very important factor for other customers to look at when they search for freelancers. Most likely, if you have already completed a test in a certain specialization, let's say, I don't know, I'm lost, hydrology. And then the next time, if we have another customer looking for translators in the same subject area, we will most likely provide your profile to them automatically without having you to pass a test in the same specialization again. It works this way. Hopefully it helps both customers and you to find each other. The next point, let me take a look at questions and answers. Okay, Abdel, I will also answer a question later. Feedback. Feedback might be the most important thing that other customers judge you on, though I find it a bit biased, because I personally, that's my personal opinion, don't think that customers are always competent enough to rate a translator's work. But anyway, this works, and if it works, who we are to change this. So once you complete a project for a customer, they receive an email saying, how did you like the work of Roxana in this case? And they can click a link, indicate 3 stars, the best of all, 2 stars or 1 star. Of course, you should always aim for 3 stars. And they can also leave some nice words about your work. What it means for you is that once you have completed a customer project and once you receive an email that says that the customer has accepted your work, you should write to them either via chat. Yes, you can only write to them via chat. You can find this speech bubble icon in your workspace. Find that customer and write to them asking them politely if they could leave feedback for your work. Because around 10, maybe 20, 30% of customers leave feedback. Just your asking for the same will dramatically increase your chances to get it. And it will improve both your search ranking and the way your profile looks for future customers. By the way, if you take a look at this screenshot, I think it's the first time I'm showing a screenshot of a profile, how it looks to the customer. You can see this link that says, do you see my cursor? Yeah, you do. That says save to my team. So if a customer loved your work, they can click this button, and next time they have a project, it will be much easier for them to find you. So instead of browsing through the whole marketplace, they will just see you in the default list and they can assign it to you right away. As I said, I work for my customers as a project manager, and I have guys for different customers. These are different people who I work with almost on a permanent basis, and I use it all the time. So whenever I have a new project, I just quick choose the freelancer and have them assigned to this document. And finally, but maybe most importantly, your search ranking depends on your senior translator status. 1 second. Senior translators are freelancers who pass a certain peer review procedure. By peer review, we mean that you review other translators and other translators review you. We have had 3 sessions of senior translators so far, and we have 160 senior translators right now. And on the right, you can see some numbers. The most telling number is that a senior translator is 7.5 times more likely to be invited to a project. Usually this is around 10%. So if you just put your profile on the marketplace, you have a 10% odds of being invited. If you are a senior translator, you have 70% odds of 75. And senior translators receive on average 4 job invitations per month, which is not that few if you ask me. Not all language pairs are eligible for senior translator statuses. So far, these are the most highly requested ones, like English to Spanish, English to Russian, French, Italian, Arabic, Chinese, and so on. So these selections are not done on regular intervals. So if you want to stay tuned, you can go to our community website, which is located at community.smartcat.ai, and follow this forum thread. I will share the presentation. You will be able to click it, where I will be announcing any new sessions of senior translator selection. So if you follow that thread, you will get an email once we have a new enrollment. Most likely we will also send out some mass mailing to our users, but just to be sure, you can do it like this. Gabriela says, I think most other sites have a 5-star evaluating system. This may be confusing for the client who looks at the rating. First of all, let me come back to this. You can see that there is no place for 5 stars here. Second, you can see that there is a caption under the title, which says recommended. And also you can see under the name that the same number of stars is converted to a percentage. So they can see, for example, for instance, 100% rating for quality and 100% for time management. Time management means that the translator has completed the work on time. That's how it works. We could have implemented a more complex system, but we want to keep it simple for now. So it means that 3 stars is good, 2 stars is already not that good. It means there were some problems, and 1 star means there were some major problems that made the customer want to indicate it in your profile. By the way, there were requests from freelancers to introduce the same system for customers, so that freelancers can rate customers for fulfilling their payment obligations, for example. And that's something we are thinking about. Maybe in some future we will implement this system as well. That's it for what search ranking depends on. And let me take a look at your questions to see if I can answer some of them right now. Yeah, I think most of questions are all the same, approximately the same. And that's what I will touch on, and I will answer your questions very soon. So customers usually look for the following things in your profile. First of all the indicators that we already talked about, they are also important for clients. Number of words, feedback, of course, test pass, and so on. But we already covered those. The other 4 is a compelling description of your services, and what most of you ask, it is solved by putting the right words in the About Me section. I will come to this right now. Then they're looking at your I'm having trouble pronouncing this word, at your subject areas, let's say so. Then they look at your attached documents like CVs, work samples, and certificates. And last but not least, they look at your photo. Love it or hate it, but they do, and it's how it works. I will talk about each of it specifically. So, About Me section, you should keep it rather short. This section, the customer will not only see in your profile, they will also see it if they hover upon your name in the search results. They will see this description. You do not want to write a whole page of text there, and you do not want to make it watery, as we say in Russian. So keep it within 2 paragraphs. Focus on what really matters for you as a translator. Include non-translation experience, like what okay, I will come to this later. If you have an experience working as a veterinarian, yes, you should include it for medical translation, because it matters if a person has an experience in a related field. And exclude trite words that are repeated from every profile on every platform. Do not write top quality or able to execute huge volumes in short time frames. First of all, being able to execute huge volumes in short time frames usually does not indicate good quality. So even if you are able to do good quality in short time frames, it's better not to write it right away, because it doesn't look good for a profile. Include what really makes you stand out among the crowd, because if that one customer that is looking for exactly your profile will come, they will definitely choose you. For instance, if you indicate your veterinarian experience and the customer comes with a huge veterinarian project, they are 3 times more likely to choose you than some other translator without experience, or even a medical translator. That's it, and maybe I can answer to the questions. Okay, let's complete this chapter. So in specialization, do not include too many specializations. It is not good in general for you as a translator to translate everything that comes your way. But I've seen profiles where people indicate nuclear energy, religion, marketing, medicine, legal, and I don't know, video games. Actually, perhaps quite a bit of profiles indicate all these. I know why people are doing these, and I did it myself maybe some 10 years ago, because you do not have enough projects and you want to get at least something. So you indicate everything in the hopes that the customer will find you and somehow they will magically choose you, but it doesn't work this way. The more specialized you are, the more chances you have to be invited. So indicate under 10 fields, better less than more. Include those that you really have to say something about. Explain this in the About Me section. Even if you, for instance, have no experience in the humanitarian field, but you love translating, I don't know, history, tell a few words about why you think you make a good choice. Maybe you have read a lot of books on history, maybe you were a part of a student club or something like this. Make sure all your specializations match with your introduction in the About Me section. Finally, CVs, work samples and certificates. Make sure that your CV is relevant to your profile so that when the customer opens it, they do not see a completely different information there. It might make sense to make a special CV for Smartcat where you just keep it under one page and include only things that you cannot include in your Smartcat profile. Maybe you want to include your working experience, your most major projects in the fields that you have indicated. When it comes to work samples, upload the ones that you think are the best. There is no need to upload 10 or 20 work samples, hoping that the customer will read through all of them and find something suitable. They won't. Find the one that you think best shows your abilities as a translator. Finally, we had a webinar on agencies. You will also get the link a bit later, but you can also find it on Crowdcast in our page. On our page, it was called Translation Agencies and Job Aggregators. I think Una Dimitrievich covered there quite well what you should include in your CV, and it's worth watching it. Finally, your photo, it should be bright and clear. It should show your face and not someone else's face or your dog's face or a face of some sculpture that you found interesting. If possible, then smile. It's not an obligation, but make sure it's relatable and approachable. The same tips relate here, which relates to, for instance, LinkedIn. So you can just make a Google search for LinkedIn photo tips and do follow them. The message here is not what exactly you should put in your photo, but that it does matter. We sometimes think that it's just some trivial thing that we will put there and no one will pay attention to, but actually for a customer it's very important to look into your eyes and at least imagine that they're talking to a real person. And your photo defines what kind of person, what kind of persona they will be talking to. So pay attention to this. And now, finally, before we go to the next section, let me answer to your questions. Oh, Smartcat is a bit, Crowdcast is a bit frozen here. Okay, works again. I'm going from top downwards. How do you make clients hire you if you have limited experience? Hayden asks. What are the key strategies in making your profile better in such situation? First of all, be honest about your limited experience. Include words about why you think, despite your limited experience, you are a good choice. Maybe you have just graduated from a university. Make sure to choose a specialization that you love working in. By the way, in our blog, there was an article, you can Google for it, 10 tips for aspiring translators. It might make sense to set lower than average rates before you get a few orders to be able to put your profiles higher and then to change it to a higher value. I've seen a translator set the initial rate of 3 cents per word. It was less than a year ago, and now he already has 7 cents per word, and he is still getting orders from Smartcat. So it is also a strategy that you can consider. I hope the more experienced guy in the audience do not hate me for saying this, but come on, it's market, and less experienced guys also must have a chance to stand out and to build their name. In any field, first you work for your name, and then your name works for you. That's the way this world goes. Alexandra asks, what if I have no specialized training or education as translator, only experience? Is there a way to attract customers without it? I don't have any training or education as a translator. Tanya Quintieri, that had several webinars with us, has no training or education as translator. Actually, the last thing I would wonder about when hiring a translator is whether they had an education or training as a translator. It's not to say that I think it's not important. Sometimes I wish I had such education to be able to deal with the work I get better, but it's not something you do for your customers to look at. It's something you do for yourself. And if you can prove able doing the same by other means, then go ahead and don't worry at all. Let me see if there are also any questions on YouTube or Facebook. Nope. Oh, we do have something on Facebook. Esther says, all the information is very clear. Thanks so much. I've just started using Smartcat and have found it very user-friendly. Thank Esther. By the way, for everyone, we will have the next webinar about using Smartcat as a CAT tool, not as a, did I freeze? No, I didn't. As a CAT tool, so for translating your own documents. I will introduce you to translation memories, glossaries, quality assurance, and so on. So I hope you like it. Stay tuned in our community website. Next question, Andrea says, I have more than 10 years experience, but there are many translators in my language pair, English-Spanish. How can I improve my profile to receive job offers and be more attractive for prospective clients? Speaking of Smartcat, the best way to get higher, not get higher, but get higher in search results is by becoming a senior translator. As I said, almost all top results in the English to Spanish pair, in the English to Russian pair as well, are senior translators. We have around maybe 30 of them in each of them, and these 30 guys on top are senior translators. It's not hard to do. Usually it goes like this. We have, the last time we did it this way, we had a week. During the first day, you translate a small part of a text under one page. The next 3 days, you review work done by other translators, and in the end, we do some math magic, and we see which translators got the best results. They become senior translators, they get higher in search rankings, and get a lot of other benefits as well. But doing all the other things I mentioned, like translating more, inviting your own clients, it makes sense as well, passing tests, because otherwise, even if you become a senior translator, you will be there among 30, 40, 50 people, and you will need to stand out among them. So it's best of all to start preparing in advance, to translate now, to do all the other things I talked about, so that by the time you become a senior translator, you already have a strong profile on Smartcat. Abdel says, hi, I'm already working on MotaWord platform and I have no experience using this platform. Can you tell me how Smartcat is different? I don't have experience working with MotaWord, unfortunately. I think it's the first time I hear this name. But compared to other CAT platforms that I saw, which is Trados, MemoQ, MemSource, WordFast, DejaVu, Omega T, Smartcat is much easier to use. It doesn't need installation on your local computer. It doesn't need a lot of configuration. So you basically just upload your document. And even if you do not use such advanced things as translation memories or glossaries, you will still be translating faster, more focused, and better if you do it on a CAT tool, with a CAT tool. And Smartcat is really easy to use in this relation, and you can always ask your questions at community.smartcat.ai. Either myself or other guys who hang out there all the time, they will gladly help you. Now a question from Amebo Cert, I think Abel, right? Sorry, I might have forgotten your first name. I'm a veterinarian, so my area of expertise is medicine, but I don't have a certification as a translator in this area. Actually, I'm studying as a translator. How important is it to have such a certification? Do I miss chances because of this, my Paris English to Spanish? Well, I would hate myself to tell you that you do not need certification on medical translation, and then you have mistranslate some word that would cost someone's health or life. So I'm not a medical translator. I never take on medical translation work. But on the other hand, I think it is not impossible to get some kind of certification. I think there is a group on Facebook by, I forgot the name, Gloria, called Medical Translators and Interpreters, and she runs recurring CPD webinars for medical translators where she covers medicine-related topics, so it makes sense to check it out as well. But on the other hand, I know that a lot of people do medical translations without having a medical translation certificate. On the other hand, as you said, you already have a medical education, a veterinarian education, so it might be different for you. I would say if you feel confident, then go for it, but always make sure to let your clients know that you don't have a certification so that the burden of responsibility is not on you alone. Andre asks, how high is the possibility that the customers use the tests that are not paid for to get their work done for free and disappear? On Smartcat, I think it's close to zero. Because first of all, we have a really short text here, and our project managers look at them, and most often these are some texts that are just taken out of context. They do not have a beginning, do not have an ending, it's just some fragment, and it's always the same text for everyone tested. So it's not possible that you have 50 pages and you send it as a test to 50 translators and they do it and you have a book translated. First of all, it will be an awful book in translation, and secondly, it's not possible on Smartcat. So we have a system for carrying out tests, and it involves sending the same bit of text to everyone passing it. In other cases, I don't know. I've heard stories about people doing this, scammers doing this, but I really don't know if it's possible elsewhere. Max asks, unless I'm wrong, a customer searching for a single paid translation job sees easily translators at a glance in Smartcat. But a company looking for a multilingual project, how Smartcat provides a solution to him, to them. They have, by the way, I think at that moment I can show you. Do we have some time? 10 minutes? Okay, I will not show you the interface because we will spend too much time, but if you create a project in several pairs, that was on one of my screenshots. Let me come back to it. Screenshot number 4. You can see that, for instance, here, although it's pretty tiny here, but you see that this document is translated to many languages. So once a customer uploads a document and indicates many languages, Smartcat actually creates many documents, and you assign translators for every language by yourself. Most customers who are, let's say so, big and can afford this, they can use our API, which is free and open, to make a workflow easier, that they have automatically assigned certain translators from their bookmarks from their team automatically. But in the general case, you have to choose it one by one. But the API is free to use, so any customer can get an API key, and then even without a programming specialist in place, I did it myself, they can use some online tool for sending API requests and doing all the same faster. I did it, by the way, when we had this senior translator thing. I assigned because we had around, how many? 200, 160 people participating. Of course, if I were assigning them one by one, I would have my finger broken. So I did it via the API, and it worked much faster. Sandra says, I have hired translators for one project once before. I didn't feel urged to enter my payment details until after the work was done, and even then I feel I could have gotten away with it if I didn't pay. How do you ensure clients will pay? We do not guarantee this, right? We are thinking of some kind of escrow thingy to ensure this at a higher commission, but it's not something that we can readily propose. So just like with any other platform, you have to be vigilant in reviewing your customers, in checking your customers. If you get an order from someone you don't know anything about, it's worth asking either me or the support team who this customer is, if they can be trusted. It's still different than what you get on other platforms, because we do have our project management team, and we will be trying to collect this money. We will be dunning the customer and writing to them, asking them, pleading them to pay for this. In the past, a year ago, we had cases when we paid from our own pocket when the delay was too prolonged. But in general, it doesn't happen often now. I think one of the reasons is that Smartcat is more focused on customers who are more well-versed with technology, because it takes some effort to learn it as a customer. It's not that easy that you just upload the document and someone translates it right away. We didn't have cases of customers getting away with this so far. Yes, as Gabriela says, using Blueboard is a way to do this if it's an agency. If it's not, then it's worth doing some other kind of research. Unfortunately, at the moment, we cannot afford guaranteeing payment, which our terms of conditions state, but of course, we will hate to make anyone disappointed, so we will do our best to solve your situation if you have bad experience with this. Okay, last thing. Yeah, Marie-Claire Cruz in YouTube shared the name of 2 medical translators that you can find. Google for Pablo Muguerza and Gloria Rivera. And there are many more, yes. What else do we have? Let me show you then the last part, which is called Looking for Jobs Yourself. Oh, let's click through to this. Smartcat has a job aggregator inside it. It's not our main feature, as I said, but you can use it. You can enter this address right now, and it aggregates jobs both from Smartcat. When a customer creates a project, they can tick a checkbox saying, post this vacancy on the job board, in which case it comes here. You can also subscribe to the job aggregator, so you will get daily, I think it's either daily, maybe not only daily, I'm not sure, we will now see, to your email box. For Smartcat jobs, you will just click a button and your profile will be automatically sent to the customer. And if the customer has included a test assignment, you will have a test assignment created in your workspace. So you just click a button, you do not have to enter any other details about yourself. If there is a test, you do it or don't it as you wish. And then the customer sees your profile and decides to hire or not to hire you. For non-Smartcat jobs, we aggregate jobs from ProZ, freelance.com, and Upwork. These are provided just for your convenience, and we do not anyhow check them. At this point, let me open this link and show it to you. Here you go. So you can filter the jobs by Smartcat only, in which case you will see jobs coming from Smartcat. These are not too many. Right now, we have just introduced this feature to post a vacancy on the job board recently. All the other jobs which do not have the Smartcat logo here come from some other source. For instance, this one comes from Prozee, and you can find details on Prozee and submit your quotation or whatever just as if you would have found it on Prozee. It makes it easier for you because you can subscribe to job postings by email, by just indicating the link, subscribe for new jobs. Yeah, you can receive them every 1 hour and so on. You enter your email here, you enter the language pair and subscribe. In the emails that you will get, you will also see if it's a job from Smartcat or not. You can opt to go for jobs from Smartcat only if you wish, or you can opt to go for others. But in any case, if they do not come from Smartcat, we are not anyhow related to them. I have received a fair share of criticism from freelancers who write, hey, how dare you ask me to do 50,000 million words at 1 cent per word. And in most cases, this was not from Smartcat. It's a bit tricky for us because still some people think that it's a part of Smartcat ecosystem and we must be responsible for this. At this point, we're still keeping it for your convenience, but I don't exclude the possibility that at some point we will just remove all other jobs that are not from Smartcat, because it's also bringing us quite a bit of trouble, because you know what kind of jobs you can get on the internet. That's it, I guess. Let's see if we have any more questions. I can show you some. I think I talked about everything so far. Sandra asks, let me see your question and reply. I will unfocus the screen. Oh, 1 second. I want to put it in slide share mode, just for it to look prettier. Anyway, so Sandra, you say you haven't received any jobs via Smartcat yet, so you don't know what kind of information the translator gets from the company. So do you get the name of the client? Yes, that's exactly what I can show to you. Good that you asked. I will open the profile of one of the customers I'm working with. They agreed that I use them as a reference in our webinars, so I'm not breaking any confidentiality here. The customer name is Xsola. So when you get a job invitation, you get information from the customer's profile. Let's see how it looks in this case. By the way, very soon we will implement, maybe next week, a new system for the marketplace, which will make it much faster, because as you can see, it doesn't always work very fast, but that time is different. So if, for instance, I invite you from Xsola on Xsola's behalf, you will see the name of the customer Xsola, you will see my name, my photo, you will see my job title, which is right now freelance project manager, the website, and most importantly, you will see the payment terms. For instance, for Xsola, we have payments on the 5th and 20th day of each month after task completion. That's how freelancers will see the company. That's the information you can get. And you can also chat with the customer to know more. You're welcome, Sandra. Upwork, okay, not discussing Upwork here. What else? Let's see if we have any other questions on the other platforms we're doing this in. It's funny, when I look at YouTube, I see my video with a delay and it looks like a delayed mirror, which is actually bad for your mental health. Do you know this trick? You should Google for it. So if there are no more questions, then I can only thank you for coming, for being here. You will see the replay right here after the webinar ends, maybe in a few minutes. I will also, let me do it right now, I will also upload this presentation. I'm doing this before you so you can see where to look for it. community.smartcat.ai. Then you have this event getting orders on Smartcat. And I will better do it like this. I will create a different topic so it's easier for you to find. Title, getting orders, presentation. So it will be featured and pinned so you can easily find it. Yeah, submitted the topic. So just go to community.smartcat.ai and you will find this presentation with all the links I talked about that you can check out. And you will see the replay at the same link as I already said. Last but not least, next week, I think we will have a webinar, second in a series that will be dedicated to using Smartcat as a CAT tool for your own projects, which will also help you get a better standing in the marketplace. But the point will be to increase your own productivity as a translator by using it as a CAT tool. And even if you have no experience with CAT tools before, it is good to visit this presentation because you will know much more after you leave it, and you will be able to use both Smartcat and other CAT tools if you wish. So thank you for coming. Sorry once again that we had to reschedule this. Hope it didn't hurt you too much. And see you next time. Till next week. Take care. Ta-ta.